Is it going?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Dave, you going bowling? Is that right?
Yes.
You're sure now?
Yeah.
Okay. And gonna bowl over 100, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you been swimming any this winter?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good to hear. I notice it picks up the blue in your eyes pretty good in there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is it pretty warm? You think we should get a fan out here on you?
No.
No, you're all right, eh?
Yeah.
What do you got planned for today? Anything big?
No.
You gonna eat any lunch?
Yes.
What are you gonna have?
Pizza.
Pizza?
Yeah.
Dave. And onion rings?
Yeah.
And garlic bread?
Yeah.
And wine and beer?
Yeah.
And smoke a cigarette?
No.
No cigarette, all right.
Yeah.
Boy, that old lamp, I remember that from years ago.
That's my mom.
Anything at all?
That's my grandma.
Turn it off and let's see.
That's
if you
my
can
brother
notice
Dan.
it.
Don't even notice the difference, do you?
No.
That
I
grandma.
don't even notice the difference.
They're not very big bulbs.
I wonder where the remote pause is on this thing, though. I don't.
Well, what do you need that for?
Well, it'd be nice to have it on the camera if I could just find it, but I don't even see it. Maybe it's on this thing. Here it is, yeah, audio remote. There we go.
Huh.
Oh, oops, I knew that was going to tip over one of these times.
Yeah, we don't want to break that. We better get
We
that
sure
anchored.
don't, yeah. Okay, well.
Did you try the white piece of paper? Did it?
Yeah, I did. I don't know. You never can tell. I can't tell. Your cold sounds like it's getting worse to me. You taking a lot of C?
I should go take some more.
My mom,
I
Bonnie.
haven't been taking.
You don't make my eyes.
Okay, Dave, why don't you move over there?
Oh, that's nice. My granny. Oh, hi there.
I can't see a thing.
Look at my body.
You're on TV.
My face.
Excuse me, but would this help to balance that thing?
Mike?
Tony, stand back,
Yeah.
son, please. Don't get in the way.
There, just so that doesn't fall.
That hurt your eyes, Granny? I bet it does,
I
doesn't
can't
it?
see a thing.
Well, that's even better.
But
Well, I wonder if you put it in the top one.
doesn't make any difference.
I think you
that
just
be
have to
better?
have bright light.
All right, whatever you want. I don't care.
Well, I was wondering about if it were
Well,
higher.
okay.
Let me just experiment. Just sit still now.
Well,
Is that out of your face, Betmore? What's in the road?
it hurts your eyes, huh?
Well, I
Never
just look
my
at it. I
eyes.
just
Never
look
my
over the side. I don't
Okay, yeah, don't look at the light.
No,
all
I
right.
don't look at the light. That's
Okay.
all right. That's all right. Whatever you want.
Well, we have to have a bright light on you, Granny.
Well, sure, I understand.
I imagine if it was overhead, it would be the best, but I don't know how to do it.
That's all right.
Well, we might be able to put it up there, I guess. Let's
No, that's all
see
right.
if we can do that.
Seems like that used to have a standard
It did
for
used
it.
to have a
Where is it? I wonder if it's downstairs. Let's see what that looks like.
Oh, it looks like it.
Ooh, I don't know if it'll stay.
It's in there.
Oh, now no one can see. We got a whole bunch
Don't
of
you think we
cords
should turn it
down
off
here.
when we're not using it? We're just wasting so much.
It's working.
Ah!
Well, of course, you gotta be able to see.
Me
it.
and David's and Granny's
So,
on.
you know, that's the way they do
I
in
know,
the movies.
Tony.
They have them booming down on top of
You
them.
come
Mom.
Listen, you sit down so you don't run over
That's
that.
not bad. Yeah, Tony,
Yeah. You're gonna.
he's
you're
scaring me.
You're gonna. Yeah.
If that thing comes crashing down.
It would
Yeah.
be terrible. And
Mike.
you'll have to sit still.
See, that looks good. That gives a good light.
Yeah, see, that's the way they do it in the movies. They have those booms from up high.
Yeah, that gives a good light. Does that bother you as much or no? It doesn't.
Well, now I can see you.
Now you see.
Doesn't
Yeah.
bother
Great.
my
We're in much
socks
better shape
much.
then.
Now I can see you.
Okay.
Doesn't bother my socks
Mom, you're in
much.
the way there.
I don't know, let's move this stuff out. So
Now you stay
no,
right
Tony.
there.
You
I
cannot
mean
walk
it.
on that cord, Tony. You have to walk back here.
Keep in mind.
Yeah.
You stay right there.
If you'd step on that cord,
You can knock that down. So
we
you
would
stay
have
right
big
there.
troubles, buddy. We'd have big troubles. Okay, well now What the heck?
See,
How
if
you
you
got
want to
little
get out, you have to walk around this way. Okay.
You have plenty of champagne there. You bought the champagne tonight.
So I'll see if I get my share. Okay?
Now,
Okay. This is a nice Christmas party that you planned.
it is. Bob's cooking up. Bob, you know, I don't believe I've ever had fried oysters or.
You wouldn't like them, Danny.
If I'm me on TV.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Not fried
Yeah.
oysters.
That looks like me.
I lose things.
Yeah, hey, Dave, why don't you get out of there, man? Let's put Tony where you're sitting.
Why?
Well, let's
So
just
we
let
can
him, so
have
he
a
can just
picture
have
of
a
him.
picture of him.
I'll move over this.
That's right. You sit over here now.
Sit back a little more, Tony, so we can get the light in your face.
Tony!
There we go.
How's that?
Isn't that good?
Now, now, Tony, can you do your ABCs yet?
Yeah.
All right, do them for me.
Do 'em.
A, B,
Good.
Can you count?
A, B, C, D. Is that all far as you can get?
E.
Huh? And you can count. Can
1,
you
2,
count?
3.
F.
A, B, C, D.
All right, now 1.
E.
1,
What's that?
2, 3,
2,
4,
and 5. That's right. Fine. Yeah.
that's me.
That's right. And Tony can also make a little church with his hands, can't you? Sit up,
I'd
make
like
a-
to see that.
Well, now make a little church this way. With your hands, and make the steeple, and open the door, and see all the people. Right. Now let's make it again, and make all the people go away. Do it this way.
Ah.
And now make a steeple, and open the door, and where's the people? They're all gone.
They're home eating.
They're home eating. That's what they are. That's right.
That's what people go. After church.
I see one.
Or they're at McDonald's.
Oh, yeah. They're all like
They're
McDonald's.
all over to McDonald's eating. No, see there.
Oh, look at that big smile. Have you had a cavity yet?
Tony.
No cavities?
No, I got something that kills the cavities.
Oh, what do you got?
Something that kills the cavities.
Oh, you do?
You went to the dentist.
Oh, yeah, and they gave you something special?
Yeah. A little toothbrush.
Oh, a toothbrush? And that kills the old cavities, eh?
Yep.
Yeah, that'll do it every time. Do you brush them by yourself, or does Mom help?
Mom. My mom helps.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know how to brush them no more.
Does Dad ever brush them?
Nope.
Bob.
Well, he does. Does Dad ever brush his own teeth?
Yes, we hope so.
He doesn't brush his own teeth.
We hope so.
Does Dad have his own toothbrush?
No.
He doesn't?
He's going along with that.
I want to get some answers.
Yeah, right. Find out what's going
You
on.
wait, Danny.
Mhm. That's fine. You're a good boy.
You wait.
Okay, now let's get Mom in here.
Now, you come over, Jean.
No, you.
Oh, me?
You.
You come over. Take my place.
You
I
sit
don't
right
know.
there. You sit
No,
right
no, no.
there.
I want you to stay there.
Oh.
There we go. There's my boy. There's my boys.
Yeah.
Oh, boys.
We haven't got Davey. I don't know. We're gonna be able to fit everybody in. I have
Well,
to
we'll
back,
get a
I have
little
to
bit.
back the camera up a little bit. For
Oh,
them to
that's
try.
All right, we got them all.
They're all there. They're all there. Put your feet
Dave, I don't see no Yeah, that's the way. See how nice you look?
Yeah, we got all 4 in there. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, that's
See?
the whole.
See your picture? Isn't that nice? We're all in here.
I'm not in the
And you
church.
don't make silly, you know.
Mhm.
So be on the, to be on there forever.
That's right, Dave. This is for posterity.
I know. You know what posterity is? No, I don't.
For a long
yeah.
time.
Ha ha ha.
You'll-
There's me right there.
That's
Yeah.
you.
All right, Big Bob's bringing down a little food.
All right, well, I'll let Linda
Remember,
go through
that
Be
here.
careful
cord,
of the cord.
If you
Watch.
touch it,
Okay.
it comes,
We die.
It comes crashing.
We die.
Yeah.
It falls.
And I'll
You
follow
might
with
tip
the-
over.
Yeah, it might tip over. You
It's
right,
pretty
buddy.
Just
precarious
pass 'em,
and
get them
it
started
could
and pass them
shatter, you know.
Just hand
Yeah,
David the
good
stack
share.
of plates of the napkins. They'll
Oh,
just pass them around.
Oh,
There
thank
you go,
you.
Bill.
Isn't this nice?
These are oysters and these
This
are
is our
shrimp.
refreshments.
Well, isn't this nice? I'll pass one on to
Oh, I'll
Dad.
take it. With Santy on the napkin, where can you beat that?
Isn't that nice?
The sausage
Oh,
up
He's got one.
I
on the
think
plate,
he
you
has
think?
one.
Yeah,
Give one to
anywhere you
Mommy.
And
like.
one to Tony.
Give
Who
one
is
to-
that, Tony?
I'm Santa Claus.
Who it is, isn't it? You'll
Yes,
give
Steve.
me one.
The
Now
shrimp
pass the
sauce.
plates, Dave.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good.
Little seafood hors d'oeuvre.
Get the plates around.
There's your plate.
Okay.
Here we go. I don't know if David will go for these or not.
I got my plate.
Dave loves
I know Tony's a shrimp man.
Long John Silver's and.
Oh yeah, he is. Well, all right.
Okay.
Look at this. Like Bob fills the whole Bob fills the whole screen.
Oh, that's fine. That's great.
Uh-huh.
Little trash. We got little trash.
Where's
We got
Danny's?
little trash.
Dan, where's your plate? Did you get
Go
a
over
Give
here.
Danny this one. Here,
Didn't
Dan.
Dan get a plate?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm over. I got a
Okay,
plate.
he's got-
You gotta put, well, here, take this
All
hors
right.
d'oeuvre you want here.
There you go.
This is
I
a.
got some more cooking, but I gotta hurry back, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or is Linda up there taking care of that for me?
Yes,
I think
She-
Linda's
I better take
got-
a
Great.
couple shrimp.
She's got
Yeah, right.
stuff.
Get a couple of shrimp. Everybody gets a
Oh,
couple
What
of
is
shrimp
this,
here.
Tony? What have we got here?
Oh, honey, how lovely.
What have we
I
got
love
here?
Sauce.
And
Yeah, but what's
what have
this?
I got here?
That's an oyster.
And this is a shrimp?
Yeah.
Oh,
get,
I
get
love
a couple of the shrimps. If
try-
you
oh.
don't like the oysters, don't worry about
Oh,
it.
I
Don't
see.
eat them, you know.
Does-
Don't eat this.
Does Tony like
Oh,
shrimp?
Yeah.
All right, I got a
Oh.
shrimp here.
Which sauce do you put on the oysters?
Hi.
Don't
Whichever
eat
one
the
you
tail.
like, Dan. I use lots of sauce on them.
Oh, looks like it was.
We'll be
yum.
bringing the crab legs down, but we don't know how to crack them for sure. I suppose a nutcracker.
Oh,
I don't
there
know.
is a nutcracker in the cupboard.
Okay.
Mm.
How's
Looks good.
everybody doing here? Let's get
Fine.
you
Oh, kind of good.
another one
There,
here.
that's fine.
Oh,
Ooh,
boy, I
here
love
for
it.
Graham.
Tony, there's for
Love it.
you.
David fixed up here.
Mm.
And I'll get some more.
Oh,
Let's have a bite.
Be careful, Big Bob.
mm.
It's up there pretty good. You guys want to watch out that, that lamp might get hot if it's leaning on any of the wood.
Well, it's
It
not.
wouldn't hurt the metal any,
It's not.
Well, those are delicious, Bob.
Yeah,
Just great.
right. I gotta watch this
Oh,
Don't eat these
one.
tails.
Turn that on.
Mm.
You don't eat the tails? Okay, we'll remember that. Ooh, those oysters are even good.
I think it's time for a refill. I hope this is chilled enough.
oh, yeah.
It's great.
Mm.
Bill, I want Bill to get in on this now.
Get some more going
boy.
here.
He's over there eating it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I want him to.
Well, don't worry. There's plenty. We're going to be
I
running this
don't
for
know
a few
the
hours here.
camel.
I know it, I want to be
I'll
sure.
just leave the sauces here.
Here's your little
Looks good. And then this
shrimper.
Mm.
oyster is sure good too.
Delicious.
That's going to be great. Everybody's going to look back over the years and see how you guys used to eat.
Oh, yeah.
Mm,
Mhm.
And there it goes.
Wonderful.
Bob, what a good treat.
Delicious, Bob.
That's that.
Get a little rough.
Mom, do you want your glass over there?
You
It's like a little
know,
difficulty, doesn't
I
it?
put my glass maybe over there by the TV, I think, by the seashells.
Well, you didn't turn this on, honey. No, you didn't.
Mm.
On, you couldn't
Good.
turn it.
Yeah, I could.
No, it's not on.
This is delicious. Maybe I should move over and let Bill come here for a while.
No.
Mm,
Put some sauce in it, we'll take
well, I don't think you're going to escape. Sometime during the evening, you
Oh,
are
yeah.
going to be on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Sip. Right here.
Okay.
Right?
Oh.
So now, what's this card of Herbert's that you're going to get, Mom? Is this part of the deal?
A tea card. It's what you would serve people, but it's on wheels, so you can peel it in, And, and it has a big tray on it
Where should that be?
for all your tea things. And
You eat,
you
you
can
think
do
with
I'm
your
gonna eat
hands.
meals like that. You wheel it in,
Leave that.
wheel it out. You know, it's
Sounds pretty fancy.
a beautiful.
It is a
carved,
beautiful thing.
oak.
It's got a
And-
shelf down below, doesn't
Yes,
it?
has a shelf down below.
And then doesn't it have something
See,
that's hinged?
That's
It
the
has two about 8-inch wheels on the front of it.
Oh, yeah?
A hinge that comes out.
Yes.
It's gorgeous.
And a little drawer that you can keep for your napkins and things.
Oh, is
in.
there really? I've
Mhm.
forgotten that. I just know I always.
It's-
It'd be a shame to let it get away.
It's a
Well,
hand,
don't
I'm
let
not
her have
letting
it
it get
then.
away.
it's a handmade by
I've seen
by
little
Herbert's
fishes
uncle,
that
which
floss,
would
and
be,
they got legs.
as
and
far as
little
we're concerned, at least
And they
3
got little
generations ago,
claws.
was hand carved by his uncle. He was a dealer in hand carved.
And you don't think,
If I was gonna value that thing, I'd value it about $500 or more.
Probably be. So I don't know.
Wouldn't you?
I told her she knows I have it.
I told her if I got it, I'd pay her for it. Now, I don't think 500. You better be quiet. We'll be in trouble.
I
You know,
said,
why wouldn't she want it if it's worth so much?
Honest to God.
well, she's
She may.
the daughter may want
She
it.
may want it, see, and then I'm out of luck.
Just told her to forget. Take it.
You don't tell her, what tea card?
Oh, I sold that at a rummage sale, 25 bucks.
I don't remember any tea card.
I don't know.
Gee whiz, you know. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm in school.
Are you sure there was a tea card? You know, my memory is getting so bad.
There you go. There you go.
Let's see a tea card.
I don't-
You don't need a bookcase, do you?
I don't think I
I
bought
mean
it from
school.
California.
What did I ever
I
do
need
with that tea
school.
card?
I mean
I kind of faintly do remember something like
I
that.
think when I was in California, I didn't want to pay
Yeah.
the moving on that, and I believe I let that go out
There
in
you go.
California.
I was in California with that.
I think you should kind of.
So I do that with the bed too.
The bed's definitely gone. The bed, you sold that.
I
It's gone.
sold it.
Well, I'm gonna work on that one. All I have to do is find a moving company that'll bring it out, right? I'm gonna do it. Unless it's like a $500 to move it or something, and I don't
I
think
have-
it will be.
Oh, no, I didn't think that.
No.
Then won't
But
your
it,
company move
and
it,
you, all you want is the
Did you everything else? Why not that?
That's part of your house that you forgot
Is
to pick
that
up.
how I'm gonna work that?
And
Tell
I
us.
figure how you work that, you say, well,
that
you
on top
took
of
care
that
of,
book,
you
so
took
thank
over
you.
my house in the Minnesota,
Yeah.
and we left that.
You left that
we left that
behind.
upstairs.
Somehow the
gonna
movers
be
never picked
tough.
that up.
It's gonna be tough on that one.
That'll be
Sure,
part of
she
your,
wouldn't want
part of
that.
your party
You wouldn't
that you
want
throw here for the
this.
people that helped you, see?
You know,
Yeah.
they spent buku dollars to move me. I don't know if you can imagine how many thousands of dollars it
Oh, I
is.
know.
I know it.
We're both
I know.
Very expensive.
I know what it cost me to come out. And I didn't begin to have as much as you.
Oh, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
That's right.
And they helped arrange all that. And just getting that house sold was worth it.
Sip, honey.
You know, we may never have gotten our
Thank you.
money out of that home if it wouldn't have been for this. Even though we're having trouble with it, we may never even gotten it back. We could have lost the money. It could have just been down the
That
tubes.
comes down here, I couldn't see.
Thank you.
I think you'd ought to love that AT&T just
Really?
barely.
Well, I'm
That's
real
where they're
happy
cooking
about it.
upstairs. But just watch the cords when you step over 'em.
Yeah.
That's the way, hon.
Tony, why don't you go up and see Mom and Dad and let Bill sit down there for a minute? Let's get the three of these three
Should
here
we go
together.
and let Bill down here? Yeah, we could. We
Well,
could change
it's
this.
not like so you get you three together in there. I don't know if we can fit all three or not, but
Well,
Why don't you get in there?
you get.
well, I
next-
will. I will eventually.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm
You
just.
get next to Mom, and then if I'm not, you know, all of me, well, I've
I
been
just
up
kinda wanna-
quite a while.
Is my hair combed in that
Well,
place?
no, now
No.
you'll see yourself as others see you.
Well,
Look, you always look pretty
Isn't he
handsome,
handsome?
Bill.
The double chin showing
Yeah,
up.
you look
No,
pretty
no,
handsome.
no.
The light, the light coming down like that.
you move over.
Sit right
There.
Okay, now
I
I
just
can
have
see
to-
you.
Well, no, you see me.
Let me just back.
I sit
Oh,
right
that's
here.
right, yeah, you're
No,
on this side.
don't listen. Don't flatter
There's
me that
Bill,
much.
there's Bill.
That's
I
fine,
thought that was
Dad.
Gene
You know,
there sitting
that-
there beside me.
That gives a little different, you know, control. We don't want it all
There
stairs.
stand, there
Let them
stand.
have that for a while. That's fine. I was on there a long time.
There's Bill,
That looks
there's
good.
Bill,
That's fine.
there's
Yeah,
Bill.
because of the way it's situated. You know, it's reversed. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
Uh-huh. So,
Yeah, there you
Dad. On TV.
Yeah, that's a little bit better light.
Now, ask him a question.
Now say something
Well-
intelligent.
Oh,
Something in good old Minnesota. Bingo.
it's cold. How cold is it?
So cold.
Yeah.
Let's see when you're on camera.
Now,
See,
Bill.
I get tongue-tied and I get on camera.
Well, what I want to know is the same question I was going to ask Granny. What's your first recollection in life?
One of my first recollections at 3 years old when our house burned down at Kellerton
Is that a farmhouse?
farmhouse.
He watched it.
I watched it.
How old were you?
I was 3 years old.
That's all?
Well, that's one of the first things
Oh,
I
I
remember.
story. That's amazing, though.
But you know, because it was so traumatic, he remembers that.
See, I was at
Maybe
my
nothing
Aunt
else.
Ella Hutchcroft's when it burned, and my mother and I were up there staying all night.
I don't know where
And,
to get back to him.
They called up and said the house is burning up. And we looked
I don't know
out
where
the south
nutcracker
window,
is.
which was
If
about
you wanna
5
get
miles
in there,
away,
you'll have to find it.
and there was our home burning up.
Oh, no.
And did you go then to the...
No, we didn't go the next day.
Really?
And the next day, all was left was a full basement, was the hole in the ground, the basement, and that was all. And I remember that.
Did you know as your house was burning
Oh,
at the
sure,
time?
we were
You
talking
didn't?
about it, but we didn't leave. We didn't go down there because Uh,
On TV.
see, there was 10 in our family, and they had plenty of people there, and all the neighbors came in and took the clothing out, a lot of it, and some of the
You be
furniture.
careful.
The rest of it.
Careful the wires.
Be careful.
Yeah,
Tony,
careful.
yeah, just be real careful.
Okay, I think he did. He just got through also.
Isn't that strange?
Well, when you
And
you
now
guys
that
all
is
just
the
settle down here.
first thing that your mother's grandfather,
Get a chair, just a minute.
Oh, Bob, wow.
See,
my husband,
this
Yeah.
part is not in.
the
Why don't we
first
set it on
thing
the
he
chair?
could remember was his house burning down.
Is
Oh,
that
yeah?
right?
See,
Mm-hmm.
Just let
That
you
is a
guys
coincidence.
have
How old
to
was
sit.
he then? Was he 3 or 4 years old?
Yes,
Or?
3 or 4 years old.
We got a smart
I
family.
couldn't find your
And
crackers, Mom.
he remembers it because he was
See those crabs?
his father
They
was
come
a
by.
lumberman.
Oh, was that right?
Uh-huh. And it was the 4th of July.
His father was a lumberman?
No, his was a
That
lumberman. We worked in lumber yard.
What town was that in?
watch out, they bite.
Missouri, Mom.
Oh, no, Tony. Dead
And
Tony got shot.
they had been playing
But
with
Tony,
firecrackers
he's dead.
and lighting
look at
the
the
firecrackers. And apparently,
He's dead.
they claimed
Look at
that
Sal.
he, as a youngster, had
He
left
ain't
a piece
dead.
of punch
Under
Grandpa had?
his
on the
shell.
step. And it burned. Of
Oh,
course, it was a wooden house.
that must have made him kind of sick. I feel like.
Well, he was too young to feel the
Yeah, but stop.
responsibility
I
of
gotta
it.
look.
But it burned the
I know
house
he's
completely down. They all ran out. They were home, see? They ran out. And in those days,
I don't know why he did it.
when there were little chickens being hatched, if it was too
He's
cold,
dead.
his
He's
mother would bring
dead.
them in the
He's
kitchen
dead.
and
Yeah.
put them in back of the
See?
of
He's
the
dead.
little thing stove. And all she could think of was the little live kitchens, chickens in them.
We bought a little bit of pork.
Pulled all those little chickens into her apron and took it out to her. It's so really safe
We bought a
with the
little.
little chickens that were in the house.
Just ransack your-
That's amazing. What year was that, you suppose?
Wow, but with the better half.
take
Well,
the
he
bird
would-
carefully, look around.
Tony? Don't want you watching
No,
them that
sir,
way.
he will just knock that down.
Get hungry, you'll get
Make him stay. It was probably 1900.
Right.
No, maybe 1902.
See?
1902.
Look a piece
Huh?
of meat.
1902. No electric
Yeah.
lights then.
No. They
There you
had
go.
it.
Whoops.
See, when our house burned
Well,
down,
here, I'll crack them.
we had
And there's pork.
we didn't have electric lights. We had those lights where you
have one.
have a tank
I can?
of
Yeah.
It's a shell.
they were
I'm a real
acetylene
fucking
lights.
Cap there.
Is that a gas?
No, not a gas. It was you had in tanks, and they
That
had
looks
my
like
father
a
and my
Harley
brother
Davidson.
were filling this in the basement. He had a lantern, which you shouldn't have, and he was
Yeah,
smoking,
good, Mommy, tough.
which you shouldn't have been doing, and it exploded and knocked
Watch out,
him down and broke his arm. And then
Hey,
material
Sure.
started to spread, and that was what burned the house down. And they poured water on it, which spread it more evenly. So there wasn't a way to put it out. If they had, we had about 8 or 10 sacks of flour in the upstairs. If they'd have used that flour, if they'd known, and used that flour
They
to pour
wouldn't have known
put
that.
on, they could have put out the fire.
They wouldn't have known.
But they put on water, which was a very thing they shouldn't do.
So what'd you do? You obviously rebuilt in the same place? Or?
Well, my father was going to Chicago with cattle all the time, and he bought a house from Sears and Roebuck that was had shipped out there to Kellerton from Chicago. 6-bedroom house.
Well, it's a big house.
Yeah, a big house.
Well, I think
Fireplace,
so.
two
6 bedrooms.
front and rear stairway, front stairway and rear stairway,
Just poke at it.
and that sold for between $3,000 and $4,000.
You want a bite?
Could you have to pay cash for that, or do you because they're
Oh,
going
I'm
to
sure
credit terms?
I'm sure he paid cash for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was president of the bank, so I
That
don't
is
know whether-
amazing though. You buy a house through the mail like that. That's,
Yeah.
No, he was up there. He bought
Oh,
it
he
right
bought-
in Chicago
oh,
from
he
Sears
did?
and Roebuck. Yeah.
But you could buy them through the catalog though.
Oh
I've
yeah.
seen them in the
Well,
catalog.
yeah, but he was there at Sears and Roebuck and bought it.
Oh, you don't like the bite?
That house isn't still standing.
Oh
is it?
yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's in good.
Because I got hard teeth.
Hardwood
In
floors.
Kellerton? In Kellerton? or-
5
I
miles
got
southwest of
hard
Kellerton on a
teeth.
farm.
Now, how big is that acreage now? Is it still the same amount of
Well,
acreage? or-
It's not
my
funny,
mother
Mom.
had
To twice I, Mom.
when my father died, she got the home
I
place
know.
was 325 acres.
I get four.
When my father died, it was
I
920 acres in one piece. I mean, all together,
I need to Mom. The table is this.
How many acres again?
920.
Yeah, I
You
got
could drive along there.
Oh, no, here's
That's big.
You could drive along one side of it for a mile and a half. No, 2 miles at least,
I'll get you another bite.
and then turn a corner. I could walk to school 1 3/4 on our land. See?
I love them.
So the school is on your land?
Yep.
Well, and I said it was
Don't
right
eat
across
it.
the road.
He walked that far to school. And
I walked 1
sat
3/4, and I
Beyond
could walk
it.
on
Yeah.
I seen
land on
some
one
big
side of the road
ones of them.
all the way,
Can I use
part of the
this
way
hit,
on
Mom?
both sides of
Right.
it.
What year you suppose that was?
Yes.
Well, I was going to school in
On another bite.
1915.
On another bite.
Started school in 1915.
Yes,
At a
yes.
school called Buffalo Ridge.
Yes, Mom. There
The reason
you
they
go.
call it Buffalo
I got
Ridge
this too.
was the Buffalo Wallers
They're good,
that was on
Mom.
our land adjacent to Buffalo
Oh.
Ridge School.
Did you see the buffalo? Did you see the buffalo?
No, buffalo was there.
They're all gone.
When the buffalo were there, the buffalo
What'd you do?
would go into this pond, and buffalo like to roll around and get mud on their
Did you have
on their
any of
fur.
these yet?
And as the buffalo went in there year after year, getting mud on their bodies and on their
Sissy,
heavy
come
fur,
on.
it took so much mud out it made a pond. See, because
They
Oh,
tried.
You want a bite?
it kept
Yeah,
taking the
I
mud
want
out of the place, and it kept getting more of a pond. See?
So they kind of built their own pond then,
They built their own
essentially.
pond. It was a low place, and so then they called the school Buffalo Ridge because it was on the it was on the same ridge the Buffalo Wallers were.
Careful. These are. They
How
can't
many years
bite
did you go to school there?
Well, the 8th grade.
Oh, you almost
So
trapped that.
kindergarten through the 8th grade, 8 years?
Well, first grade.
Well, first grade, 8th grade, that'd be 8
Yeah.
years.
Crack it round.
They didn't have kindergarten in those days.
You started in the first grade.
I see.
Hey, do it.
Then you come home at night and do chores?
Oh yeah, you come home every night at 4 o'clock and work. There's always a lot of work to do.
Now
on
do
this
it.
farm.
This one will
A little more champagne for the
Yeah,
cooks?
you gotta keep us cooks
Oh,
happy.
absolutely.
Maybe Daddy can do it.
We
Just
can arrange that.
absolutely
Bring that one over till it bubbles down, kind of like you tip it with it.
Oh, I see,
Dad,
okay.
can you do that?
We can.
delicious.
And Granny, thank you for the wine this evening. The champagne was a Granny's treat.
Well, we thank
That's
you
good.
for cooking all these nice
We
things,
should be
Mom.
close to that light.
That's about God.
Yep.
Ooh,
Real celebration of the
yeah, it
family.
is.
Can I freshen these glasses here a little bit?
Yeah, Jean hasn't
Don't hand me my
been able
glass,
to
David,
reach
over
her
there.
so well.
Dad, can you
That's Granny, that's Grandma.
That's mine.
Right here.
This is
I'll
your mother's.
practice,
Okay.
Mama.
Here, you see if you can.
Can I freshen that a little for you,
This
Bill?
is here. I need another chair, Mom. It's this
Very,
here.
very nice.
You can do it.
Thank you.
All right.
Wait
Get this.
So,
a minute,
so
where are you
we've
going?
heard two first recollections, but Granny, we haven't heard yours yet.
Do not bite me.
Well,
He
mine
can't bite
isn't
me.
very
I
exciting.
made him. This one.
Well, then don't tell it.
He's
Never
gonna be
mind.
dead from this one.
My father
Hasn't been.
passed away when I was 4 years old.
And who was your father?
Ray Reddish was his name. Edward Reddish.
Here, would you try this one?
Um,
We just can't crack this.
He passed away when I was
It would
4.
crack two of 'em.
Cancer.
What kind of
Please
cancer?
crack
It was,
that one. I was the
It
one
started
that
from
was
his lip.
cracked.
From smoking?
Oh, no, he never smoked.
We didn't have a pipe though.
He cut his lip,
it's cracked.
There's
What?
cracked.
by,
Look at that.
Watch
I
Tony.
want that.
This chair.
He is scaring me, Bob. Bob. Will you watch him?
he's
Why
gonna
don't you-
hit that cord.
Be careful.
I'm just worried he's gonna hit that
Oh,
cord.
he's gonna hit that cord.
Here, just.
Tony, watch it.
We do?
I can tell you this.
Yeah,
Oh,
move
yeah.
that, maybe.
He's
We'll
gonna
just get
hit
over
that
here.
cord.
I just hate to see that thing come tumbling
Yeah,
down.
but well,
Here
be
you are,
careful.
Tony. Come here.
Yeah.
I got something for you.
No,
Look at
he,
this lady.
he was
You're
looking
right.
envelopes sealed, but he had his own business.
What kind of business?
Oh, that's dangerous.
In those days, it was
It's kind of dangerous.
coal and
Yes,
feed.
we can do.
And hay, probably.
Well, mostly just feed.
Where was that at?
In Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay.
Another bite?
And he sold coal and feed.
I want that.
And he was licking an envelope, and the envelope cut his lip,
Mm-hmm.
and that lip never healed.
I'll make
And it turned into
Yeah.
cancer. And of course,
Oh,
and of course in those days, they had no idea
I do.
what to do to heal
did they call it
Yeah.
cancer?
I was surprised.
They did call it cancer,
They
though.
called it cancer, and he went to Beatrice, Nebraska, where they had a big hospital. And the doctor there, in order to do it, you know, they tried to burn it out. And of course it didn't work. And he came back home. He never went to the
Here,
hospital.
you want some of this?
My mother took care of him,
You don't want to get anything.
Mhm.
changing the bandages.
Well, I think I've already had it. I don't think I did.
Now, at 4 years old, all I remember of my father was him going around with his face red. And he couldn't, finally couldn't talk at all. But for a while he could say a few words.
I had it.
Now, my last,
more.
by
Thanksgiving, but when we went
actually,
down
my
to see Linda's
first-
brother.
remembered that it stayed with me. He was in the bathroom shaving. In those days, of course, they shaved with the big long shaver,
Straight edge. you go.
straight edge.
Oh, it was a real straight edge, so they didn't have any,
Oh, no.
just really, they didn't have a belt that he used to
Yeah, and then they had,
Strap, they call it.
strap,
well, then
right?
they had the cup of the soap,
Just, yeah.
and he had this cup of soap was sitting on the toilet seat. Now, I was just a little gal, wasn't sure. And
Very
I
good.
went in, and I touched that cup. And he said to me, "No, no, Luella," and I could hear that voice yet. Because I could hear him speak so evil, see?
Mhm.
But I could hear him say, "No, no, Luella." Now, isn't that the funniest thing? It's the only thing I remember about my father. It broke my heart. I ran out of the bathroom crying. Because I hadn't heard him talk, see, hardly at all. But he said, "No, no."
Track it, Dad, and I see it.
That's my memory.
And that's it.
How does track,
Mhm.
Dad?
He died of cancer, and then you and your mom were left then, and how many
Well,
brothers and sisters?
There were 7
My
of us.
dad got the hardest,
And so
hardest
I had
shell.
2 brothers and 3 sisters.
Were you were the youngest?
No, I had a brother that was younger than I.
Right.
My brother was just 2.
Viking shell.
I was 4. I was Ed. His name was Ed. And
What were their names? I mean, the oldest and.
Ed?
There was Harold, which was the oldest one. Now I think Harold was probably around 21. He was not a well-off man. He had heart trouble. They'd had it for years. And my oldest sister was Mary, Frances,
And they lived in California. Francis lived in California.
and so did Mary.
All right.
And Francis, and then there was Chauncey. He lived in California.
Chauncey, yeah.
And we called him Pat,
He died young, didn't he?
quite young. And Myron,
All right.
and so we called him Pat Knight.
Pat, Mike, what do you mean? I don't.
Well, in those days, that was their nicknames, and Pat and Mike was the comedians of that area.
Yeah.
Pat and Mike, they were on all the comedian shows. We called them Pat and
Not the
Mike.
one that's there.
And then it was me and my younger brother, Edgar.
That's the one that's already there.
I'm gonna eat.
We all lived in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah, you guys are busy.
Yeah, I'm missing out here.
What happened to Chauncey? I remember that was a sad story, wasn't it?
Well,
Because I remember it.
Sit down over there a while, Bob.
he
While I'm eating.
he
I'm missing
ended
out
up.
on this. Can you shut it off when we get through eating?
She's on a roll.
Hey, sit on down here.
Now.
Hey, sit
Yeah,
down.
sit down by me.
Hi,
Hi,
Bob.
Bob.
They're my dad.
This is delicious. You've given us a.
Oh, Granny never bite of the crab yet. Right,
You
Granny?
haven't had a taste of crab yet.
I just had one little bite. Bill, now you've only. David's had enough.
Yeah, I think we ought to cut David off.
Cut David off. He's had plenty.
You're eating.
And Tony. Cut him off.
Yeah.
My gosh. Tony, you're going to get fat. We were
He
worried about
just
you.
sits there with his mouth open. He does every time. He opens his mouth waiting for the bite.
Where's Linda?
She's back up here past the lights.
Come on, Linda, get in on it. If you'll sit over here.
Bob, what's your first memory?
Yes, Bob.
My
Yes.
first memory.
Yeah.
Come.
Falling down a bank that had a lot of leaves on it, and my dad was there, my real dad. And I remember trying to crawling up the bank, and I kept slipping in the leaves, and everybody was laughing. And I was scared, I remember,
Yeah.
because I thought I was going to be trapped down in these leaves.
Your dad saved you.
That's my first memory. I don't know.
Isn't that funny? What a person remembers. Now, if my mother had known that I
My dad on
remembered
them leaves.
the fact that my father says, no, look. Well, that's good memory.
You know what my first memory was?
What's yours?
Bob falling down in front of a car. Do you remember that, Bob?
Oh, I remember that. I have memories before that. I remember getting up in the top of that tree. And
You couldn't
Mom,
get down?
you know, I thought I was doing great until Mom came out and started telling me, oh my gosh, you're in big trouble. You're up at the top of this tree and you won't be able to come down. And I got to looking around and,
Then you really
oh boy, I really was up a big tree. And it was a pine tree. You know,
Oh, no.
and you know, I was small enough.
Yeah.
That you can imagine how little I was. I was small enough I could go up in between the branches of the pine tree.
Well, you
So
must
I
have
was
went
really
down there.
small because, you know, today I couldn't even think of going up a pine tree.
No, pine tree.
I couldn't even get
The
up between the
branches
limb,
are
but, you know, they're
so
so close together. I remember it was a pine tree.
You were just about 3 years old. You were about Tony's age. You were younger than Tony. But, you know, you were 3,
Uh-huh.
just barely 3.
And
He climbed this pine tree.
Uh-huh. Imagine
It was a
that.
3-story house, and he was up to the 3rd floor,
Oh, my stars.
across the street.
That is kind of scary.
You know, Victor was always climbing trees. I had more trouble with him. And one of our neighbors had a huge big oak tree. Remember that, kid?
Bob,
Oh.
Bob, we got a picture of you covering the whole screen, my friend.
My rear, huh?
No, where do you get your rear end?
Oh, dear. Do you remember when Vic got in the top of that great big oak tree
Where were we living then?
at 7-Eleven.
Oh.
So he was probably 8 years old. But he was at the
Oh,
top.
he had to be, because we'd moved there till I was about 14 or 15.
But he was here in the
About-
top of
He was
that
about 11. About him.
huge big
Good
oak tree.
He was a climber, I remember that.
Oh,
He liked to climb trees.
Okay.
He was
this is
always
good stuff.
climbing.
Boy, Dan knows how to do
And not only climbing oak
Good.
trees,
it. Here's a nest.
he was always going into houses that were being built and climbing on all the rafters and all the things. And you know, the people that were building the houses, that always made him mad.
Vic was kind of a rascal,
Maybe
wasn't
we
he? I
should
mean,
be-
I don't know what you want
We
to call
should
him, but he
get
was
the
always kind
film here. These guys eating over here.
Really, this is the scene
A
over
little
here.
bit right there.
Look at this for a Jim. Look at this. Go ahead. Don't let us bother you. Here's where the real action is, right there, Dave. You too.
I think that,
This is what's cute.
that's good.
Getting in on that crab.
Change it. I love that.
You don't get
Well.
Dan, we want you in there
This
too.
stuff
you
makes
know.
us
Right
sick.
on,
I can't
right. I'll get
imagine
in
so
there.
Yeah,
good.
you could.
Look at
Too
there.
much.
Go over there and join them and all that.
Well, is it
Yeah,
gonna, you're
Dan,
not
why
getting
don't you
much
just
light
walk
on
on
it.
over there?
Well, we got enough light. We'll be able to pick it up.
Dave, what are you gonna do?
Well, it's filming as good as you see it, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah.
I'm
Very,
kidding.
very good. Okay.
And the sound seems real good on this camera too.
Yeah.
I got to get a camera. Just no doubt about it.
Probably,
You missed too many good things.
You know, I've seen them advertised.
Yeah, I wanna
in
get
there.
for this. Here, Tony,
The people that bought them, you know.
get around here.
You need a good kind of tube. You need a
Oh,
Nubicon
she's got
tube.
on us. Yeah, darn it, I wanted to get that.
The low light tube. See, you wouldn't need this light here if we had a Nubicon tube.
You really like this, don't you?
I
But
have,
you need a nice to have a good
I
light.
have a friend of a young couple that lived in Ventura.
You
Yeah.
want me to
And,
crack some, I can't get in
um,
myself, hardly.
Daddy,
Well,
your small outfit.
Well, I'm gonna
They
get the
had a
shell
baby.
off first.
Because Fork digs it out, you don't
And
have to shell.
he was so excited about it,
So
he
you
bought
just dig
this
it,
whole
you just crack
deal.
it and then dig it out with the fork.
And
That's the way
kept
you
taking
do it.
pictures of the baby as it
That's right.
grew
You don't
and
need to have all the
crawled
shell
and did all those things.
mm,
Took all those pictures. Then he would send a cassette
good
to the
crap.
grandparents that lived miles away.
Yeah.
No, there
And
wasn't
you
much
know,
there.
that was a wonderful thing to do.
It's a
I
great
used
way to
such a
share those
delicacy. I saw a lot of those.
Dan,
Oh, all right. I'll get it. I'll
Yeah,
get
you better sit down
Look
there.
at-
Well, I'm gonna
Look
get
at this. This is probably Bob. A shrimp tail. Bob, you left your shrimp tail over here.
No, I didn't. I'm innocent.
You know, likely story.
That's what we don't touch, honey, because I'll
That's
tell you.
not good. Good.
See that light? You touch that light,
Oh,
it'll
my.
right down and break and hurt us.
Yes, down.
Okay? So we don't, that's why we're kind of scared of it. We're scared of it. Here.
Oh, I know what we're gonna. This is gonna be an all-night deal. We're going. We're gonna. We got a little more wine. Got the Ridge Zinfandel. Then I got the Clos de Val Cabernet 78 to open up, and then after that,
Oh, well, that's cassette run.
it'll run for 2 hours, and then I got another one. It'll run another 2 hours. So we're just
Mix 'em
gonna
out.
keep going for it. Yeah, we're gonna.
Steady.
We got a lot of history to record tonight.
That's why we're scared of that.
Yep. A
Oh,
lot of history.
yeah.
Bobby Huffle.
Well,
We just all we got to our first memory. That
Yeah,
doesn't
well,
even
how
count.
about
We
your
got.
first memory, Dan?
I told you that's a
Did
Bob.
you get it
Mine.
on? Did you get it recorded?
Bob falling down in front of that car.
Yeah,
I
there
think
we go.
I
Well,
remember
what
it's my
happened
first
then
memory.
when he fell out from the car to get run over?
Mom turned white and just about, and I didn't know what had happened for sure, but I saw Mom. I ran across the street first. Mom was saying, "Come on, come on!" Of course, cars coming. Bob goes flat on his face
oh.
in front of this car, and the car screeched. As I remember, it
Oh,
screeched to
no.
a halt. Couldn't have been more than a few inches from his head.
And he
And
thought
Bob
he
goes,
did it.
"Oh!" And the guy got out of the car.
He
and
was just scared.
Oh,
to death. He
no.
thought he
He
did
thought he'd gone over his head, and he could have too.
it. Well, yeah,
I mean, it was
that
just
close.
inches. Inches. Bob gets up, and, you know, like typical Bob.
Yeah.
What's the big deal?
Oh, he was scared, weren't you, Bob?
But he really didn't think it was a big deal. Like this guy in the car.
I
didn't.
remember that. The
Like I
time
knew you
thought,
did.
well, I better play this down. Now, I remember my thought was, I better play this down as much as I can because I'm in big trouble.
Uh-huh.
And I remember thinking, that was all right. Don't
All
worry
right,
about me.
don't
Just don't yell at me. Right? Just don't yell at me.
Mm-hmm.
And he was about 3 years
That's
old.
good.
Yeah, it seems to me I remember
That
I remember
little.
spilling coffee on my dad's lap. It's the only memory I have of him. Is I went and jumped on his lap, spilled his coffee all over his pants. He said, "Get out of my life." No, it wasn't quite like that, but that's really the only
He's
memory I
mine,
have.
Daddy.
Hey,
You're tough for me.
what should we save some for?
And of our dog.
Grandma?
Oh,
Remember
Grandma?
that
I
dog
don't
we
think
used to have,
we
Cocker
gotta at
Spaniel?
least save
I
one
don't-
leg for
I don't
Grandma.
care.
Yeah, let's save one.
Yeah,
for Granny. We're gonna
Bill.
save this for Granny.
My gosh,
Yes,
you are just being awful. You and
not.
David.
I'm not
You
getting
got there
anything.
late.
Hey, Daddy.
These were all picked over when I
Get
got
mine.
here.
Well, I can't see that. Looks like you've just been.
Oh,
You hold it, Dave. I'm not gonna hold it.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
I tell you.
I thought we were just picking the leavings here. There's all left for Dave in
Well,
there or
we're
somebody.
gonna save this one
Yeah.
at least for Grandma.
Yeah, okay.
Grandma doesn't need it at all.
You want a taste of crab?
Yo, Grandma,
she hasn't even had a
come
taste yet.
on.
Yeah, she
Don't
hasn't even had a
look, see,
taste
yes,
yet.
I do.
Oh,
think she'd- you
it's
think
mighty
she'd like
good.
it? I
It's
thought
mighty
she'd
good.
like it.
Come on, Grandma, taste
You
it.
got a taste.
Let's taste
Just to be part of the
Dan,
group.
you probably eat that stuff till you're just sick of it, don't
Oh
you?
yeah, I'm just lobster and crab. That's every
Out there
night.
in New
Every
England,
night.
I mean, you guys got it coming out your ears
I don't
there.
think he should have it. He's just
No,
going back out to
That's
New England.
true. That's true. I don't think. Where's Linda?
Right by you.
She's back here reading her.
Yeah, Linda, don't think you're
Let's
gonna
don't give
escape
Dan
just
any
because you're so
because-
quiet. You're gonna be in there.
Grandma, Rabbi.
All right, sweetheart.
Oh look at
Watch
David,
it,
that's
Dave.
nothing on that. Go get a real bite for her.
Oh yeah, it's
Look,
got to
it
be
looks like a-
saturated.
But I know, I just can't eat a bit, Daddy.
Well, do work on it here, Dad. He'll-
I should
Little bit.
I should have brought some crackers over with me to serve that on.
I wouldn't want
We
to.
had a whole
I
bottle.
wouldn't want to
he's
dilute
doing
this.
the best
I wouldn't want to
he can.
dilute
I
this in
know.
They're
crackers.
hard to get.
Yeah, well.
I'm a hero.
Life is tough. We got
Oh,
it.
that
Like-
is, that
There you
is
go.
fine. Can you come over here?
There.
Feed me.
What makes me a little bit provoked right now, though,
Yeah.
when we went out
Hey,
there to
Good?
Watch what you're
To,
going.
uh,
Watch your
delicious.
New Jersey, we never heard about
Bye-bye.
these. We had sweet corn, which is an Iowa product, you know.
There you go.
can
And
imagine
tell me that sweet corn wasn't great.
that? It was good.
Gosh,
Tell me that sweet corn wasn't some of the best
And
you've
how
had.
about when he wanted to buy the lobster and nobody gave him any encouragement
Is
or
that
any
right?
money either?
Did I want to buy a lobster? I don't remember that. Oh yeah, I wanted to buy a whole lobster and
You
bring it
kept
home.
talking about you wanted to buy a lobster and you kept being
Maine
talked out of it.
lobster?
We kept saying, no, we want that, what's the name of that fish?
Flounder and we had some white.
Yeah, flounder, wasn't
And
it?
it was,
Why did-
David, don't go through there. Why do you do
Oh.
that? Just sit down.
That
There you
flounder was
Why
good.
do you do that?
I just sneak food,
I'll
Mom.
tell you, the next time we come out there, we're gonna be wiser.
You gotta have a little of that fresh lobster. That's so sweet. Mm,
Mhm.
can't beat it. Okay, now Bill's question. How'd you meet Vic?
Tony, put that down.
Oh, heaven's sakes. Do you really want to know that?
I do.
Yeah,
Pick up Barbie
I think that's the pertinent question.
I think that's a very pertinent question. Yeah, let's hear that one.
It's deep.
Did you go in the grocery store where he's
No.
working and sort
Was
of
he
flirt
working
with
in a
him?
grocery store?
Well, no.
Meat market.
Well, that wasn't. We had come to visit his sister, who owned the grocery store.
Well, I knew there was a grocery store in there, yeah.
He wasn't working there.
Oh, he
then.
wasn't. Mhm.
How did he ever? I don't mean to interrupt, but how did he ever? He used to love meats like sausage
I love
and,
it.
Well,
and remember cannibal sandwiches, Bob, the
Yeah.
raw hamburger, that kind.
well,
Of, but
he finally got to help his sister out in the grocery store. But when he came
where was that at? What town?
in Denver, Colorado,
Okay.
and
And
he,
you moved to Denver then eventually, then obviously.
well, no, I lived in Denver.
Okay. How'd you move to Denver?
We came to Denver
Good.
because of my oldest brother's health.
Oh,
And we
wow,
moved-
this was Chauncey then.
No, Harold.
Oh, Harold.
Yes,
I do
And
that.
Harold
heart
was-
condition.
Harold had a
Harold.
heart condition. All right.
And we came to Denver for Harold's health.
And what
but
was it
I
about-
had been living there for years before I ever met Vic.
But what was it about Denver that was so good for Harold?
The clean
In those
air.
days, the doctors
altitude.
didn't know. We lived in Lincoln, Nebraska. My brother had the heart condition. The doctor sent us to Denver because they thought the air there was clear and dry. He didn't realize that the high temperature, high elevation, was all against the heart. And the minute
Oh yeah.
The minute my brother got to
That
Denver,
guy's a connoisseur
My
of all
brother-
the fine food.
Isn't
Yeah,
he?
hell,
I mean,
you ever
yeah.
see it?
He really appreciates them
Big
too.
His health went bad
That's
when he got
surprised. I
there.
think he liked most of
and
that.
so
I
my
don't
mother
know, I
took
don't
him
know
back
the
to
delectable
Lincoln
food
to
he
the
doesn't
doctor
like.
again
Forget
because
it.
that's where he wanted to go. He passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right, I remember this story now.
Uh-huh. That was, and so then we came back, we liked Denver, and we came back, drove back. I don't suppose you want to hear the story of the drive back.
Right back to Lincoln.
No, to Denver.
That's a good story.
Wait, no, wait. You took
Yeah, we went.
took Harold to Denver. It didn't work out, so you drive back to Lincoln so he can
Well, we
die,
didn't drive back. See, we
or whatever.
yeah. So then, Harold passed away
In Denver.
I know.
No, he didn't.
in Lincoln.
Oh.
Oh, he did.
And so then we wanted to go back to Denver. So my mother had a friend that was in the Buick automobile business,
In which city?
Lincoln.
Okay.
So she bought a new Buick from this man. And he taught my older brother, Chauncey, then, to drive. Now, Chauncey was probably just old enough to drive.
I lost
18 maybe. And we bought the car to drive us all back. Not my two sisters. My two sisters were going to university.
There's a piece
So
of
my
paper.
mother,
Huge
my
piece.
two brothers
I know.
got in the car to drive back to Denver. It was 581 miles to drive. In those days, there was no highway. So the OLD put out a big book.
OLD.
Uh-huh.
What is that?
Well, they were the first ones that put in the driveways with
Office
the
of Land Development, I would assume.
uh-huh, with the directions. Omaha, Lincoln,
Denver.
and Denver. OLD. They were the first ones that put out. They put out this
Omaha,
big book
Lincoln, Denver.
to tell you how to drive to these cities.
Oh, I see.
And the way we drove was to follow the directions of this book. And it would say you drive so many miles and tenths, 4/10 miles, and you'll come to a red barn. Turn right. See, there was no highway. And we were just following wagon roads.
And horses drawing wagons was mainly what went on those.
That's all. And so it was just the two. And that's the way we went. A lot of times they put us on old railroad tanks because there was no highway at all.
What if the train came down the other way then?
Well, but
You get out of the way.
Oh, no, it's over. It was, freight runs or something. But Bumpy went down that way if the book told us to. I sat up in the front seat with Chauncey, and I had to watch the speedometer, keep the miles and the tenths with the book to tell him which way to go and when to do it. Because there was no marks on the highway to tell him. And if I made a mistake, my brother had a high temper.
He let you know it.
He let me know it. And so anyway, we drove those miles. Of course, in those days, the air didn't stay in your tires very long. You had to watch your air in your tires or your tire would go. And we got to the borderline of Nebraska and Colorado and had no trouble with our tires. And I remember when we got to the borderline between Colorado and Nebraska, my brother stopped the car there and he yelled. He was like, "Hallelujah, we made it, no flat tire." And we all celebrated and clapped our hands because we hadn't had a flat tire or had to change. But before we got to Denver, we sure did. Uh-huh.
Are those the thin tires then? Real thin tires?
Real rubber too, and they leaked air right out the sides of them.
Yes, we had to watch them all the time and put more air in them.
And tubes, of course.
Yeah.
But they were real rubber. not
What do you mean
synthetic.
real rubber?
Well, they were real rubber, not synthetic, or not
And,
nylon tires. They were
And
rubber tires.
they were very thin.
You know, soft rubber.
Good rinse.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
We had canvas that went over the top of the car and down on each side. And so we would, when night came, I think it took us about a week to make the drive. Because when we started, see, it was the first time my brother had ever driven a car. And the man that sold us the car told us, at no time do you go over 25 miles an hour. So we took the 581 miles, never going over 25 miles an hour. I think it took us a whole week to do it, as I remember. Anyway, we had this canvas over the top of the car and on both sides. And my brothers would sleep on this side, three brothers, and Mother and I would take the other side of the car to sleep. And we'd always stop at a farmer's place. We'd go up and ask the farmer if we could put our car there for the night. Every farmer said yes, we never got turned down. They were so delighted to see us, to know us. They would come out sometimes and bring us donuts, you know. Several of them even asked us in the morning to come in and they'd give us pancakes and everything else.
Bill, you enjoyed that.
They were so
I'd
glad.
like to go back to that, yeah.
They were so glad that, and some of those people, for years, Mother corresponded with. They were really good friends. They were so sweet of us just for making that.
What happened in Chauncey, though? I mean,
Oh, well, Chauncey got married. And what did he have?
Parkinson's?
Parkinson's disease. And he was in a hospital in Los Angeles and had been for quite a while. And at that time they didn't know how to take care of Parkinson's disease. And he found out that there was somebody who had come up with some kind of a operation that would help him, but they didn't know. And he said, take me, see if it will help. So he donated his body for the operation to see if it would help in Parkinson's disease. And he died with the operation.
he died on the operating table then?
Well,
Or
right after
afterward?
he died.
What year was that, you told us?
Oh,
I can just, you know.
yeah. How long ago?
What year was the trip? What was that trip back?
Well, when
It was
I
after the war, after the Second World War.
Was
let's
that?
see.
Was it?
No,
you mean the first
What
one.
in First World War?
no.
She's
Let's
let
see.
many
I was
years
born in
lapse there, Dan,
1904.
if you're not-
And 1904 and to about 12, 13 years after that would be what?
After what?
1921?
1904 and 21 would that be? Because I was about, I don't know, 13.
Well, we're talking about Chauncey.
No, they just
Oh,
said.
who are we talking about?
Chauncey.
Well,
The trip originally, the original trip back to Denver.
But he didn't
Well,
die
What year
so
was
much
that?
after
Right, but what year was the trip back to Denver
Around-
for the first?
21 would be, I was born in 1904.
1921. Okay,
Uh-huh.
roughly.
Uh-huh. And then, of course, after he was young then, he was
Okay.
home. And took care of us when Mother had got taken off. I told you about her having to go back with my older brother because of his. We're in Denver, see the house that we had rented. My three brothers and I stayed in the house. She took Harold back.
Oh.
And while
What
she was,
happened? Isn't there quite a story about you staying in the house there?
yes, Well, my
She was
mother
gone.
My mother then went to the neighbor and said, will you see that they have an evening meal every night while I'm gone? Because we were in school. We were all in school. Great. My older brother, when he was in high school. And so when we would come home, we'd go over to her house for dinner at night. And we would go over, we'd sit at her table, and she would bring us in a cup of milk and a couple of crackers. Now, my mother had paid her to feed us while she was gone. And she gave us crackers and milk every night.
And the boys said,
We'd go home, and the boys, so we'd go back the next night, and the boys would sit at the table.
you and I would do that, Bob.
The boys would sit at the table with their knife and fork. We want some food. We want some food.
That's me.
We want food.
And in she'd come with crackers and milk. That's all she gave us. So I think I don't remember how long she was gone, a week or 10 days, I think, with my brother.
But she sure took advantage
And
of
when
you
she
kids,
came
huh?
back and heard this, because she had paid this woman to feed us. Well, didn't hurt us any. But you know, all the rest of our lives, if we got together
That's
for a
good.
meal, Edgar especially
Yeah.
would say, we want food. He remembered
That's a
it.
bucket.
We want food.
So from Denver,
Mhm.
you met Grandpa in Denver.
Yes. When we drove into Denver, we didn't know where to find a place to live. And we passed this grocery store. And we stopped, and Mother went in, and here was this, do you remember Aunt Lillian?
Do you?
Good.
Oh, sure.
Do you?
She was a
Oh, big
huge.
woman. All right. Grandpa's mother.
No,
No.
Grandpa's
No?
sister.
Oh, Grandpa's
His
sister. All right.
She was a huge. She was a young woman. She was huge, but she owned the grocery store.
I squished this.
And,
What kind of a grocery store was it? I mean, is it the kind of place you go in and say, I want 5 pounds of flour and
Everything.
beans, and then they go get it for you?
And they went, and they had a delivery service, everything, and a nice meat market. And so we went in there to find a place to live. And Lillian says,
Mine's right here.
oh, over the grocery store, she didn't own or have any connection, because she says, I'm sure they have an empty up there. And so Mother went up and we got a place to live till we could find a
Was it
house.
furnished?
It was furnished until it was like a hotel, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we stayed there until Mother found a place for us to live. And so we got very well acquainted with Lillian. If you remember her, Lillian Waterbury, that was Vic's sister.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
Well, he had a brother and 2 sisters beside himself, but he was the youngest of the family.
He was. And his parents came from Germany.
Both.
And your parents came from England.
No, really, my parents were both already here in the United States. Their folks came, one from England, one from Ireland. But,
a little Irish blood. I didn't even know that. Little
but that
Irish
was
blood.
that was
Reddish.
Got that Irish Blarney.
Like a little Blarney in there.
a little Irish, but
Reddish is
Little bologna.
That was the
Well,
Irish side.
Reddish was English.
Oh, Reddish is English? I
All
thought the
English.
Reddish was Irish.
They all came from England. And,
Shipperite was German.
well, that was your
And it
grandma.
was Shipperite.
Shipperite, yeah.
Ship-o-right?
Shipper.
S-C-H-I-P
Shipwright.
P-O-R-E-I-T, Shipperite.
Whoa.
Posterity.
And that was German.
And then Did Grandpa change it?
Yeah.
He changed it.
He's the
All-
only one.
He's the only one. Now, there's a lot of shipwrights still living, but they are still SCHIPPORIELT. But Grandpa,
P-O-R-E-I-T.
Well, why do you think Vic wanted to change it? He thought it'd be easier.
he was so disgusted spelling it out for everybody that came
For
along.
business.
What about Pence? I always spell out Pence.
Yeah.
And
Well,
uh,
you can see the
he didn't change it till after we were married.
This is
What?
a nice name.
Just after, just before. I think our marriage certificate is spelled.
Well, he went through quite a bit of red tape to get that changed then.
I don't know.
Well, I know it took quite a bit, because I knew some people change their names and it's not easy. It takes a
Well,
lot of red tape.
I guess it was yes, it was before we were married because our marriage certificate is spelled SHIPWRT. But he got so disgusted spelling it. That's why he changed it. But,
So you're living above the grocery store.
we're living by the grocery store. Mother went back. You see, by
Back to where?
Denver to get my girls, and we got them.
Get your sisters?
Yeah.
Don't drink that
They
butter.
were in the University of Nebraska, and we got them.
Kids are pretty big.
And then when Mother got her things together, we bought. Mother bought a very lovely home. Mother had, she
Now,
was.
did she have her furniture shipped in from Lincoln?
Yeah, she had. Mother had money.
Where'd she get her money?
Well, my father didn't leave her penniless when he passed away.
What did he do?
I told you he was in this coal and field.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And after he passed away, my mother took it over.
And she made money on it.
And she made money at it.
She was a money maker.
Well, she put all of her children through university,
Mm-hmm.
so she must have done a very good
She
job.
had to have been a money maker.
And she sold her business. She had money. Because when she got to Denver, she not only bought our home, she bought some other ones too. And rented them. So my mother had a good business everything.
This is Nanny. Well, when I
She
saw her, you'd never know that. I mean,
She
she
didn't
was.
deprive him, and to be left with 7 children, she must have made money to do that.
Who has so many kids? You know, that's a lot.
She had a woman come in and stay with us. We were little. So we had a woman that came in and stayed with us.
too.
You know, night and day because Mother was busy. In fact, we called her auntie and stayed with her no
Well,
way.
when did you first lay eyes on Vic? Now, you've never gotten to that shit.
Daddy.
Oh, for heaven's sake. Well, when we got our home in Denver, we bought all our groceries from Lloyd. Vic
Thank you.
liked it so well in Denver that he decided he would stay with his sister. He was visiting. He came from Missoula and came down and visited Lillian. And he was visiting her and helping her out with the delivery of groceries.
I see. What was he doing at the time?
Well, he was 20, 21, something like that. He thought he wanted to work for the Cadillac company as a mechanic. And worked up as a head mechanic and ran the whole garage there in the mechanic
Oh, you
of
darn.
the Cadillac
Did
company.
you ever hear that before? I guess
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I know about
And the
that.
Cadillac store, or the big building for the Cadillac
He
was
was a
on the
mechanic, was he? Not a salesman, mechanic.
mechanic. He wasn't a salesman, he was a mechanic. And he was he worked up to the head of the whole mechanic division there.
Shop foreman.
He wore a white coat and all that kind of stuff. And he must have been terribly young.
Now, when's the
Because
first,
he was only 21 when we were
when's the
married.
first day you laid eyes on him? You've never, you,
I'm trying to tell you.
We're getting to that.
yeah.
And, well, anyway, he was staying with his sister while he was doing this job at the Cadillac dealer. And my mother liked Lillian so well, so she called her and asked her over for a Sunday dinner. And she thanked her and said, I can't, my youngest brother is visiting us, he's here. My mother says, bring him over, bring him along. So Lillian and Ralph and Vic came over for dinner. And my job in the home was to, whenever we had company, to wait on the table. So if dishes had to be refilled, I got up and did that. If coffee cups needed to be refilled, I got up and did that. So I got up from the table and I was running around serving everybody with seconds of coffee. And when I came to Vic to serve him coffee, as I went to serve him coffee, he lifted his cup to bring it close to me, and I didn't know he was going to do that.
Wait. He lifted, close too. So he lifted his cup and passed it toward you?
Well, of course, I was in back of him to serve him the coffee.
I see, like
and
this.
He lifted the cup, and I didn't know that, so he spilled the coffee all over his hand.
What'd he say?
Ouch.
I can't remember, but that was actually my first.
What did you think then?
Thought you'd blown it.
I thought.
What did you think? I'm glad I poured it on him, or
Oh
what?
no, I liked
He's
him.
a handsome young man.
I was but I wasn't.
Impressed.
No, well, I wasn't anything that was trying to get a date out of him, and that never entered my
I was
head.
embarrassed.
No, I was just embarrassed that I'd done it. I was 16, I see. And I was just
What
terribly
he said.
embarrassed.
You don't know what he said.
No, or nothing. But that's what you said. What was the first time I met
That's
him?
what I'm trying to. Yeah.
Now, it was quite a while after that, months after that, that he phoned me one day.
Right out of the blue, huh?
As far as I was concerned. Now, the reason he phoned me, he had been going with another girl. And he had bought tickets for a show. And when he called her, thinking, of course, she'd come to the show, she said, I'm sorry, I'm going to somebody else. And he was so mad, because he thought he had definitely had her. And he was living with Lillian, of course. He was so mad. He said, I bought these tickets and she's got another
He
day.
told you that? That she was
No.
Oh, later.
He told Lillian that.
Oh, told Lily.
His sister.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he told his sister, I've got these tickets and he was mad. He said, who can I ask? And she said, well, why don't you ask Paul? And he said, who wants to go out with that little girl? And, of course I was. See, I was 16, and he was 20, well, 16 and 20, that's, and, but he had the tickets. So he finally called me and asked me to the show. Of course, I was naturally thrilled to death to go to the show. And I went to the show.
What show? Do you remember?
I do not remember. It was something you had to get tickets for, so it was
It was a play.
It was a play.
Yeah.
Here you are.
Oh, thank you, dear. It was a play. And we went to the play. And it wasn't long after he called me again, so he must have enjoyed being with me. He called me again, took me out again. And took me out several times before
Did you like him the first time?
Well, I enjoyed. I hadn't had too many days.
Yeah.
I was tickled to death to go out with any kind of a guy that wore pants. Don't you know you are when you're that age?
Yeah.
And I wasn't one that.
It wasn't love at first sight, I know.
Oh no, no. We went together see, I was 17 when we were married. And so I had been married, I had been 17 almost a year before we were married. So, see, we had
You went with him
together.
about a year and a half then?
Yeah, we went together.
Pretty steady?
Yes, very steady.
Very steady.
And at the end,
Hmm?
at the end, almost every night, he'd pop
I
in
see.
sometime.
Mhm.
And my older sister, Mary, was going with the guy at the same time. She met this guy in an elevator at the store where, the building where she worked. And they were going to work at the same time. And this man would get on the elevator and not take off his hat. And that made Mary mad. And she said, you just wait. I'm going to see that man takes his hat off. And be,
That was discourteous?
it was very discourteous at that time. If you didn't take your hat off when you got in the elevator, that was very discourteous.
She think it was deliberate then? She thought...
Well, she thought he was rude.
Yeah.
And I don't know how she, anyway, spoke to him or something. Anyway, he got so when she would get in the elevator, I would become his cab. And that pleased her immensely. So she got going steady with him. So, my older sister and I were going steady at the same time. Frances was already married. And we just had the living room with the fireplace, dining room and kitchen, and yet we would both have dates to come to the house. So we were very nice. One night, Mary and Ellen would get the living room, and we'd go out and sit in the car or do, somewhere else, ride around something. And then the next time we'd get to sit in the living room.
That's fair enough.
Uh-huh.
Well, sitting in the living room was probably pretty nice then.
Oh, yeah.
What did you do in the living room?
Just we found the fire.
I mean, you were kissing and things like that? That's what I'm
You
thinking
must have been smooching a little bit.
Smooching a little.
As time went on. And then it got, you see, Alan did not have a car.
Alan? Oh, her.
Is
That
this
was
the man
Mary.
that wouldn't take his hat off in the elevator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alan Suzanne would not take his hat off the elevator. And he did not have a car. And, yeah, that's Charlotte's father.
Oh, yeah.
And, he did not have a car. Of course, Vic did.
Did Vic have a company car or his own car?
Oh, it was a car that belonged.
Well.
He would sometimes have the company car, and sometimes his sister, they at that time had a Buick, beautiful. One of these long Buicks with the top rolled down and all. And lots of times he'd come over with that Buick. His sister would let him have her car. But he always had a car. And Alan would sit around. Of course, Vic would sit around, I have to take him home. But Alan would sit till Vic was ready to go home, so he knows that Vic would take him.
Now, you remember Vic now back then, was he tall and thin or tall and heavily built?
He
Or
felt like
about like Dan?
Oh, was he really?
Oh, yeah.
I kind of figured he was big his whole
Oh,
life.
no, absolutely not.
No, I wouldn't think he would have been, no.
Don't you?
Not as a young man, no.
No. He was a big man when I knew him, of course. He was
Sure.
big.
When grandchildren came along?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, but he was about like you.
Was he really?
Mhm.
I'm surprised. I just didn't.
Mhm.
So he was tall and thin then, or
Well, he
tall
was-
and.
Yeah, he was,
He had a big build then. He must have been
6 foot.
pretty strong.
he was 6 foot.
Now,
struck me as being taller than
wasn't he a baseball player then too, a pretty good baseball player? Was that?
Well, that was when he was in school and all.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, very, very much so. He was the Well, what do you
He's
call
center
it?
No.
Yeah.
Center?
Insist.
Is it the center they call the one that,
basketball team?
no,
Baseball.
baseball. Anyway, I guess he did all the batting.
Get over there.
Did a lot of the batting. You know.
Oh.
No, he,
What, did he pitch or what?
But then you kinda get used to it.
Move, Bill,
I
just a
just
scooch more. Just a scooch
I just
more.
don't remember. But he did play a lot of ball when he was.
Well, then they had these semi-professional baseball teams in. He's probably played on a most every town of any
Yeah,
side had a
probably did.
semi-professional
Probably
baseball
did.
team.
He probably did. He loved anything about baseball. He just loved. So he must have been. But that
Well,
is.
then, how long did he stay with the Cadillac garage?
Oh, well, he had left him before we were married. His sister offered him the management of the whole grocery store. Oh, I know why. She became pregnant.
Yeah.
And so she offered to be the manager of the grocery store. And he was then the butcher too.
There I am. There I am, everybody.
And but he was doing that before we were married. She offered him that.
So when you were married, he was a butcher and manager of the grocery store. Well, where'd you live? In a house, or did you live in a?
No, it was a huge, big store. And in the whole back part was just storage. And so Waterbury's that owned it turned the whole back of it into a living place for us, made 2 rooms out of it, and fixed it all up for us. And so we lived there and didn't have to, I don't think we even paid rent. And he was the manager of the store, the butcher, but I went in and helped in the grocery store. In those days, I don't suppose you ever knew this, but grocery stores then called all of their, the ones that came to them all the time and charged their groceries.
Yeah.
And they would call those people every morning. Is there anything you'd like at the grocery store today?
On the telephone?
On the telephone. And so Vic,
All right, telemarketing.
Vic,
Yeah,
By
right.
computer, Dan.
Vic would go down that whole list every morning, call all of those people, and get their orders. And then I went out and I ran around and waited on the people who came in while he was telephoning. And then I would help him fill all those orders. And he'd put them in the truck, and then I would stay in the grocery store and wait on the customers while he delivered all the groceries. So I worked in the grocery store too. And
You were married then?
when we were married, we lived in the back of the grocery store. We had a nice bedroom, a nice big bedroom. And his folks bought all our bedroom furniture, which was very nice.
Where were his folks? They're from Germany. Did they come over from Germany?
Oh, yes, they had lived here in the country. Vic was born here in this country.
But they were out in Montana at this time.
But they lived in Montana.
I see.
And they came down, of course, the wedding. And they bought us our bedroom set, fixed up our bedroom. Very nice.
Now, who was the first child born from them? Jean, of course.
Gene.
Well, was she born in Denver?
What do you mean from Vic and I?
Yeah.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Where else did you have children from? I mean, what is this?
We were just talking about.
We're getting from the bedroom to the first baby.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Makes some
I see.
sense.
But we were just talking about his folks, so I didn't know
Yeah.
who we were talking
And Jean
about.
was born there in Denver.
And,
What year was that?
ask her.
What year was that, Mom?
1940?
No,
You
no,
buy that?
no. I was born in 49, so I know that one won't gonna work.
32? 33?
25.
And,
in Denver. She's born in Denver.
oh yes,
Mhm.
Ed was 33.
and of course at the time she was born,
Yeah.
we were no longer in the grocery store.
33.
Vic had his own job. He was
So
a
you're
sales-
the oldest.
For which
Oh,
company?
yeah.
Alexander, motion picture company,
This was Disney then. This was close.
No.
This was not
No.
Disney.
advertising. Alexander Advertising. And
Tell him, I can tell you something about that because back in the 20s, in the movies, certain companies made film shorts, they called them. And if you went in business, if you were a Ford dealer, you would buy a short advertising the Ford business. If you were a grocery business, you could buy a film advertising the business. And Alexander Film made individual films advertising your business, and then at the end of it, whether it would have a trailer, it'd say, whatever company was sponsoring that film.
Like a commercial.
Commercials, see, and they were commercials. So every movie theater, before the major film start, was about a half a dozen or so advertising shorts
I got it.
paid for by the local businessmen. See.
Movie advertising.
And that was
So-
Alexander Film was the biggest out of, I think out of Colorado Springs, was it?
well, they were in Denver at that
Denver,
time.
I see.
So who would he sell that to?
Sell it to the business, independent businessmen.
Individual businessmen.
He'd sell them to produce a film for them.
They already produced, but they could tie that. They probably had some for grocery stores, some for insurance,
See,
some for car dealers.
They had these
Oh, I see.
they had these little films for everything imaginable, and then they would add your name on the end of this little film. It was a little story about
I see.
the cars or about the hardware, and then your name would come on at the end of it.
I see.
You'd
And,
sponsored it, in other words.
Sponsored. And
Written, it's just like it is on TV now.
yes,
Yeah.
that's
When you think about it,
That's right.
you know.
That's,
You have your sponsors of the TV show.
for the theaters.
Except they were
and,
just a little short.
Vic got tied in with the Alexander Film Company, but he was working not as a salesman. He was working in the office.
Oh, he was.
And all the time. He was never on the road.
He wasn't on the road.
No, he was working in the office, and he worked up to be the head of all the men that went out and sold the advertising. He was the one who was the head manager.
He was over the salesman. He was sales manager then.
Sales manager for the whole, he worked up to that,
Mm-hmm.
and he was that for years. In fact, most of the little ads, the little things, were all his own stories, and then they'd make the film. He would give them the whole deal. Because they always had this little story about the car.
I mean, he was helping write the stories.
He wrote them all.
He did.
He wrote them all.
I didn't know that.
He wrote them all, and then they would film them, and then they
Oh,
put the advertising on the end of it.
And he wrote the script for the.
He wrote the script for all of it.
Oh, what do you know?
He did that for years.
He must have had a really good job in those days, didn't he?
Oh, he did. He was so.
Size funnel.
Oh, hi, Dan.
Hey, Uncle Dave. What'd you have for dinner, buddy?
Yeah.
What'd you have for dinner, buddy?
Roast beef,
Roast beef? Anything else?
cherry gravy.
Was it delicious?
Yeah.
Did Mom make it up pretty good?
Yeah.
Is she? Tell me, is she the best cook in the world or not?
Yes.
She is? What's her specialty?
Cook,
Yeah, but what's she make the best?
roast beef.
Roast beef? That was it? We had it?
Yes.
Is your specialty roast beef, Mother?
How about spaghetti?
Spaghetti and meatballs?
Very much especially.
Terry's trying to chase me.
It really didn't, did it?
We going bowling tomorrow?
Yes.
Are you gonna bowl over 100?
Yes.
How come you're so certain?
Really?
Who's to say you're gonna bowl over 100?
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of exercise do you do every day? What kind of exercise do you do every day?
You.
You?
Dance.
What's your favorite music?
Fish people.
What?
Fish people.
Fish people?
The village people.
Oh, the village people? And what's their best song?
And Navy.
In the Navy?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my gosh. I've had enough of this. I have had enough of this. What grade school are you in, Dave?
The first.
And how much do you earn per week? How much are you making?
What?
What kind of jobs do you do?
Vicious sale.
What?
Vicious sale.
What's that mean?
Easter seal.
Oh, Easter
Easter
sale.
sale.
And what do you do there?
Selling.
You sell stuff? You seal stuff?
I'm 40.
Oh, you fold?
Selling.
Sealing? Boxes?
Yes.
That sounds like a pretty good job. Does it make a lot of money?
Yes.
Oh yeah? What do you spend your money on?
Yeah.
Oh, you take mom and dad eat out?
Yeah, Dad.
And where do you go?
To Chi-Chi.
You take them to
And
Chi-Chi's?
Fridays. And going dragon.
The Golden Dragon?
Yeah, hi, Dad.
You're right, Dave.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
Had a pretty good time, eh?
Yeah.
You have your own room, your own TV, and
Yes.
but you're letting me sleep in your room tonight, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's nice of you.
Yeah. He wanted to show us one of his first animated cartoons.
Imagine that.
And so we went down, and Calder was there, and Vic. Of course, he wanted Vic because he was the sales manager. I think there was some other couple too. And we went down to the studio to see this. And all I can remember about that cartoon was the cow. And they were milking the cow. And of course, all these sounds. See, we didn't have sound effects on pictures then. That was just coming in. And this was all the sound effects. They're milking the cow, and the pail tips over. And the sound of the pail tipping over was not in the right thing, you know. And we all laughed about it, but that was the only thing that was wrong with the film. But, so I saw the first cartoon with sound being shown. Well, anyway, he wanted to call.
And a Disney product.
And a Disney product. Oh, yeah, I know the man. And that is, I knew him on the show. And,
What was he? You don't have any remembrance of what he was like personally?
oh, yes, very charming. A fun guy to be with. Talkative, you know, he was a nice guy. And,
Big horse.
but he wanted some of Calder's money
Nice pitch.
so that he could go on with
And
it.
develop. And develop in Kansas City.
It was being done. And I know Vic even talked to Calder. He's got something. You do it. Calder had the money.
Thursday.
Calder turned it down.
He did.
And so Disney went elsewhere, and of course, that's the last we saw.
The rest is history. When Grandpa had a chance, and
Well, of course we.
so we all sit here broke because Grandpa didn't kick in.
What she tells it, Grandpa wanted Cougar to go ahead and help him develop it.
Oh, he
do
did?
it.
Oh, he did. I didn't know that
Grandpa
part.
wanted Cougar to go in with us.
That's what she said.
I didn't know that part.
Oh yes, Grandpa was all for it. He was excited about it. But
If he'd have done it, then Vic would have been a part of the initial
But
Disney production.
yeah.
See?
We didn't have the money.
Where is that Cougar? I'm gonna go kick his family's rear in the.
Passed away a long while.
Yeah, we could have been multiple.
We could have been multimillionaires, and here we aren't doing bad, but you know, Disney Productions went pretty good.
Yeah, you could have gone down to Epcot and got in without any paying, probably.
Disney was so mad he walked right out and called
About
them,
where it
went to
ends
New
up,
York, and got the money in New York.
Mm-hmm.
But we did see that first Disney film before it ever went on.
Don't you wish you'd had that on video cassette recorder, Dana?
We saw that first Disney film. Like Disney, we was in it.
Was Disney married then or single?
No, he was single.
He was single. He had a brother named Roy. Was Roy around there then, or do you have?
Well, I don't know that. I never
Remember.
met him. I don't know.
You see, Roy of the brothers was the one that was.
Yeah, he took his business part of it and went on.
Roy was the one that
Those plates.
produced the.
Yeah,
Roy was the one that raised the money.
yeah. He was the one. See, Disney was. He was the one, the artist.
He was a genius in the
in that,
production of it.
but his brother was the professional guy and went on with the money and raised the money.
Don't close them too tight, sweetie.
Okay.
We're always afraid to break the glass.
So Amy was probably raising hell most of the time.
Who?
Amy. Amy Jean?
Emmy, you call it.
Emmy?
Amy was raising what?
But wait, let's get Mom in here. Let's hear a little early history.
Yeah.
Come on. Let's hear a little early history here of Amy.
What do you
Emmy?
remember?
Emmy was
Amy. We
Emmy?
called her
Where
Amy.
did you get Amy?
Yeah,
What?
Just being ornery.
No, I'm not. I-M-Y.
we called her Amy.
Wasn't it
My
I-M-Y?
name was Imogen.
Emmy.
Emmy. Nobody called me Emmy until I went to high school.
No,
I was always called Imogen.
the whole thing.
Imogene Ida.
Nobody's mentioned that either.
Where did you ever get the name?
No, tell her about Ida. Tell him about Ida. It's kind of interesting.
I really just loved the name Imogen. That was just, I didn't have anybody that was after particularly, but I loved the name Imogen. I thought it was kind of private. And when she was born, Vic's folks lived in Montana, and they wrote a letter to me and wanted her to be named after one of their daughters, you know, they gave me. And Vic's oldest sister was named Ida, and had passed away with the flu. They had a big flu epidemic.
Right after the First World War, you've heard of the big flu epidemic?
No.
Oh, 1918.
In 1918.
Thousands of people died
Oh,
with
yeah?
the flu right after the Second or First World War.
First World War.
And she was
And she was one that passed away
very young.
in that flu epidemic. And his mother wrote and wanted me to name
17, 18, 19 years.
if it was a girl, name her Ida. And I didn't want to hurt her feelings, but I wasn't very crazy about the name Ida. So
Especially connected with Imogene, which made two eyes.
Yeah,
So we stuck Ida in there in order to make her grandmother feel good. We didn't think she'd use it very much anyway.
I can remember my dad telling me, though, years later, that this sister of his, but that was an older sister, wasn't it? Because, yeah, Dad was the younger.
Yeah.
And, you know, he really loved his older sister, and she was married, very young,
Yeah.
and the man she married did not treat her right.
Oh, treated her terrible.
And just what all he did, I don't know. But I think he implied that maybe she didn't even get enough to eat. You know, that he was not, didn't have any money, he didn't do anything for her. And she was so run down that he always felt that that's why she caught the flu when the epidemic came through. And the family kind of felt that he was responsible for her death.
Very much.
Who was that?
Vic's older
It was the whole story.
Vic's older sister.
Oh, I see.
I see. So, but her name was Ida.
Her name is Ida.
So that's how you got the name. Imogene, you liked the aristocratic ring, and Ida was Vic's older sister who
Was
died.
trying to, and I said, whoever used their middle name, do you know what my middle name is?
No, let me think.
No, because I know. Usually I don't.
Where'd that come from, by the way?
What is your middle name?
Gertrude.
I didn't know that.
And I was named after my oldest brother took piano lessons and liked his teacher was one of these kind. He thought his teacher was a perfectionist. Her name was Gertrude. And so when I came along, he wanted me to have Gertrude's name. So my mother gave me that as a middle name. I think it's horrible. I hate the name.
Gertrude isn't much.
No, it's
Still doesn't hold. It still
I
doesn't.
think I'd really opt for Ida, but
I don't like. And to be called Gertie?
yeah, that's right. Their nickname is not.
The Granny's better than Gertie, I'd say.
Yeah.
So when I put Ida on her, I thought, well, she doesn't need to use Ida anymore, and I use Gertrude. But I did make Grandma feel better by giving her the name Ida.
And then that came along. What? What year was that?
You were
1928.
28. 3 years later.
They were all planned, I assume.
Pretty much so. We were actually, we were.
Isn't that an awful question?
No,
I don't
see,
know.
right on TV.
I don't
Get it
know.
in there.
No,
I don't know.
the first
They
two-
wanted me.
Wait, you sure?
I expect that.
Yeah.
The first one you can back out.
And then Vic came along 3 years later. I'll be very frank with you. Ed was not planned for. And I was quite upset when I found it because that
I want Ed to see this tape.
that was during the Depression.
1933, you couldn't get
Oh.
it.
And we just
They didn't have any money.
didn't have the money.
Grandpa lost his job, right?
Uh-huh.
Or he had a job though, but he had lost his job with the.
But the big one.
What was the name of that company again?
Alexander Films.
And
in Kansas City.
It
He
was
quit, didn't he?
Well, that was after
He said,
Alexander
you give me the
Films.
money I want or I'm walking.
What's this?
no, it wasn't Alexander, but
Oh, it wasn't?
no, he left them before that.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, it was a tough time, and hardly anybody had jobs. And Ralph Waterbury, which was his sister's husband, was in the insurance business, and he arranged for Vic to get in with one of these insurance companies, selling. It was an insurance company that the law had come in that no more insurance could be sold. I don't know what they used to call it, but you would, everybody that came in, then when anybody died, everybody had to pitch in for the person.
Oh, I remember those.
You know that kind.
That kind
No,
of.
I don't.
Premium. They had them in Osceola.
Mm-hmm.
You signed up to an individual,
Mm-hmm.
and if somebody died, you had to pay $1 for that person.
Everybody that died, you pretend that was your
Then if you
premium.
died, they'd pay
Your,
yours.
your premium when you died.
Isn't that interesting?
Uh-huh. And that the law passed that that could not go on. And so Ralph made this job for Vic to go in with one of these companies that had this kind of insurance, to go around and interview all of the people that had that insurance and transfer them over to a regular type of insurance. Well, now this was during the Depression, and we were tickled to death with the job. But because of that, he had to move from one town to another every time he'd get had all the people come over. All the people in this town, he'd have to come and see. And then when he had transferred them over, then he would go to another town. Well, I knew if I stayed where we were, I think it was in Kansas City at the time, he would be gone all year and I wouldn't see him. Well, nothing meant more to me than to be with my husband. And so, of course, I just had Jean and Vic at the time. And so I insisted on going along with him. So every time we went into another town, then I'd have to find an apartment. It was during the Depression. You couldn't find apartments at all, did then.
How was Jean then?
She was well, that's when we first started out. Oh, I don't remember now.
She'd be, what, 4 or 5 years old then?
Yeah.
Maybe old enough to remember some of this stuff, vaguely.
I think, well, she probably, cause I think in some of the places we sent her to kindergarten.
I see.
And so anyway, that's what we did. We went around to all these towns, being transferred about every 3 months to go to another town. And it was hard on her because she had to go into new schools all the time. And she was very bashful anyway. So it was hard on her. But I had to be with my husband. I just had to.
Well, that's better than breaking up the family. I mean, being gone.
And that was during the Depression years. And so then when I found that I was going to have another one, I wasn't too happy. But that was the only one. The other two, I definitely knew were coming and was tickled that spot, but the other, it came down. But that was, those Depression years were very much so. And I know it was hard on Jean because she was being transferred from so many schools. And it was hard on her because she was timid and was a lot harder on her than since she has told me. I didn't realize that it was so hard on her to go into all these strange places. She was timid.
Hard on who?
Jean.
Oh,
Because
that's right.
We made so many changes to school during that time. And I didn't realize it because she did so good in every one of the schools. She must have been good because when we would send a notice to the teacher that we were being transferred to another one, invariably the teacher would send home a delightful note of how they will miss her, we'd love to have her. And I know one teacher even sent home a gift to me, you know. So I know she was loved in the schools, but it wasn't easy on her. But that was hard.
When did you move to Osceola?
Oh, honey, that was years later.
That's a big jump.
There's a big jump then.
Jumped a lot of.
I am. I didn't know that.
He was in
see.
business in Minneapolis long before they came to Osceola. See.
She moved to what city are we in now? We're in Kansas City, right?
Yeah, but
All right, then we moved to.
after this jumping around, well, pardon me for interrupting,
Yeah.
after this moving around with insurance companies, he went to Minneapolis and developed a business there. You better go into that first.
Well, he went there for the same type of business of advertising, and joined up a firm that was there, and progressed
Back in the film business.
in the film business, salesman.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote all of the salesman's forms and everything, did all of that. In fact, he was head of all the salesmen all over the United States for this film company. He was on the road quite a bit for salesmen that weren't doing just right, and he'd have to go down there and be with them. So he was traveling a lot, but he was the manager. And like I said, he wrote all of them. And I am so provoked I never saved some of the things that he wrote.
That would have been fun.
It would have been
Very
precious.
precious. Yes, I agree.
Uh-huh.
I'd have used it. Probably somebody's new speech tomorrow or next week.
Yeah.
I'd have put it in there just because Grandpa wrote it. I'd put it in.
That's right, and he did so much, and it was for salesmen. He was a sales manager.
Yeah.
And
Do you have any idea what he made during those times? I mean, even at any time at all?
I don't, but
Now, you haven't seen the beautiful house they built during that period in Minneapolis. It was
And we went down there, didn't we? When we were in St. Cloud, we never made it down.
Well, Gene and I did. I didn't know you
Did
did
you?
not.
I'm thinking I did, but I don't remember. For sure.
Well, you should have remembered it because it's a nice house.
7-Eleven Summer. It was a
In Minneapolis.
St.
7-Eleven
Paul.
Summer in Minneapolis.
no, St. Paul.
St. Paul. St. Paul.
He was working in Minneapolis, but we went over across the river and built the home in St. Paul.
You built the home. This is the one with all the shelves a little bit lower. And no offense, Granny, but
No, they built all for my proportions. I have, and I told Jean, I said, I have a book with all of the photos of the whole house being built, and with comments like a diary of the whole house and the pictures of it, from the vacant lot that we bought and the whole thing through, and then how we would go and look at the house, and she's looking out of one of the windows where it's just a frame, and I've got that, and I think I'll send that back to her if I can find it. I want her to have it. And it is